How can you tell if someone is lying to you? Do you trust your guts? Are you trying to find any clues in the person's posture or facial expressions? Whatever the case may be, there are a few distinct ways that can help you tell if someone is lying to your face. But before we teach you how to spot a liar, make sure to smash the like button and subscribe to our channel. Using a lot of hand gestures. During the 2015 International Conference on Multimodal Interaction, a team of researchers presented a study that showed how liars move their hands way more than those who tell the truth. The premise of the study focuses on real-life court cases, which the researchers used to assemble a list of misleading tells and cues. According to the study, liars usually have a physical outlet for the stress caused by their lies. It's common knowledge that liars tend to tap their fingers and get all twitchy with their extremities, but this study focused on the negative energy released by their hands. However, people don't use hand gestures for lying only. Public speakers use hand gestures to make themselves more convincing on the stage. Well-timed hand gestures often inspire audiences, strengthen points, and spark questions. This is why a liar may use hand gestures in the same way, to convince the other side that their story is true. If you want to avoid people lying to your face, keep an eye on people who use excessive hand gestures. Misleading looks. Even though people tend to cover their tracks with bulletproof stories, reading a lie on someone's face is not that hard. The same 2015 study discovered important differences in facial expressions of liars and those of people who tell the truth. The bottom line is that liars have way more negative emotions on their faces. When you ask someone a question, they may answer either with truth or a lie. However, their physical reaction will tell you much more than their answer. Liars tend to frown and make faces because they are aware of the lie, which causes stress responses. Eyes wide open. The majority of people believe that liars often disconnect eye contact because they are lying. Nevertheless, liars are so good at lying that they purposefully look directly into your eyes. The previously mentioned 2015 study that was conducted on real court cases concluded that liars always keep their eyes wide open while talking. This means that minimum eye contact is no longer a valid sign of deception. Good liars will maintain steady and confident eye contact, which is why long stares and lack of blinking are considered a sign of lying. People who are telling the truth have no issues with disconnecting eye contact, mostly because they're telling the truth and not trying to convince you into believing them. Autonomic distress. When you're telling a lie, your body and brain are under a lot of emotional stress. The lie triggers the autonomic nervous system, which in turn starts a chain of tiny unconscious reactions, such as increased breathing and heart rate. But how can you tell if someone is lying to you? Because lying stimulates tiny chain reactions, most of which are uncontrollable, the autonomic nervous system affects the surface functions such as swallowing, sweating, coughing, and blinking. If a person has nothing to hide, you wouldn't be able to see any of these reactions. In summary, lying makes the nervous system go haywire, so if you notice unusual behavior, the person is probably not telling the truth. Distant pronouns. We bet you didn't know that liars don't tell stories the same way others do. For example, people who are telling a true story mostly use first and second person pronouns such as I, me, and you. These pronouns show a personal attachment to the story because the person has nothing to hide. But how do personal pronouns give away a lie? Well, liars change the pronouns they use on a subconscious level. The reason they do that is that third-person pronouns create a distance between the storyteller and their story. Studies show that liars try to avoid taking credit for their lies. They are aware that their story is not real, which is why they use pronouns to create mental space. For a keen ear, this tiny fact can give away a liar in an instance. Vocal changes. Our emotions almost always influence the way we tell a story. Imagine you're having a casual conversation with your friend when all of a sudden their voice changes. It becomes high-pitched and you get the feeling that something is wrong. Researchers often associate deception with vocal changes. When people lie, they usually get defensive about their lies. They are no longer in full control of their voice, which leads to changes in tonality. If you believe someone is lying to you, try to pay attention to the tone of their voice. Telling the truth. Telling the truth is quite possibly the most obvious sign of lying. But how, you might be wondering? Well, when someone wants to make sure you believe them, they emphasize their honesty too much. Liars who don't lie very often use phrases such as "to tell the truth" or "to be honest" right when they're about to lie. If the person you're talking to is telling the truth, there is no need for them to remind you of that fact. The best thing you can do is keep an eye out for these phrases. If someone is talking to you and constantly repeating that they are being honest about it, you might be talking to a liar. Using the same phrases. While liars like to use the phrases "to be honest" and "to tell the truth," which is a dead giveaway, they also have a hard time expanding on their stories. If you believe someone is lying to you, there is a simple thing you can do to unravel their lies. You can ask them the same question in a few different ways. Liars like to stick to their own made-up stories, which are like a script, and scripts don't come with alternative answers. Their scripts are designed to protect them, but asking them the same question simply by paraphrasing it will show whether they are lying to you. People who are telling the truth can approach it from a few different angles, whereas liars have to rely on their scripts. This means they will stick to the same phrases while trying to recycle them. Making big mistakes. People make mistakes when they talk. They forget names or how certain events unfolded, but there's a big difference between not remembering and telling a big fat lie. For example, you ask a friend what they did last night and they say something like, "Oh, I stayed in and cooked dinner for my girlfriend." You ask them what they cooked and they can't remember. Of course, they could just not remember, which is normal, or they could be telling a lie. These things tend to happen quite often, and they are pretty much always harmless. But imagine this scenario. You ask your friend what they did the night before, and they say, "Oh, I stayed in and cooked dinner for my girlfriend." You ask them what they cooked, and they say something along these lines. "Yeah, I didn't cook. I went out with a friend." These are major oversights, and they happen when liars are not paying close attention to what they're saying. It's perfectly normal to forget someone's name, but to forget an entire evening, not so much. The more you do it, the easier it gets. According to a 2016 study from the Nature Neuroscience journal, the more you lie, the easier it gets. This also means that you are more likely to do it again. The study compares the need for lying to addiction. If you lie often, your brain becomes accustomed to it. The human brain functions on a reward system, and if you profit from a lie, your brain will subconsciously make you do it again. You will become less sensitive to telling lies and gain more control over the things you say. This is why experienced liars are hard to crack. If you believe someone is lying to you, try to use this list to unravel their lies. And if you want to learn more about liars, make sure you subscribe to the channel and click the bell icon for more notifications.
We'll show you everything worth knowing